Hey guys, Crux here. Let me know if the audio is a little bit off. I've been having a little bit of issues setting this whole thing up, but I'm always going to be here to bring you the alpha because that's what I do. Crux here with Crux at Crypto. I'm a fundamental analyst and I break down the news and I sometimes also get into the charts with you. So I've been learning a little bit TA over there and I'm trying to be the all-in-one crypto caster for you guys. I believe in cryptocurrencies. I believe that they're pushing us into the next part of what the monetary future looks like. And again, I'm here to break all that down for you. So one news article at a time. I'm going to go through quite a bit of information today because we have some stuff that's pumping the markets. As you can see, we have a green day. And much of this is coming from overseas. So I'm here in America, but we know that crypto is global. And then also, we know that there's some other relevant news that we'll discuss going forward that could possibly break the 4-year cycle. So this is the layout for today's live stream. So I'm gonna give you the information on why today we're pumping. Next, we're gonna get into what's going on overseas, and then after that, we're gonna go into why the 4-year cycle could be broken, and then lastly, we're gonna do the last relevant information to send you off before Thursday when I go live. So if this is your first time here, make sure you smash that like, hit subscribe, and let's go ahead and get into it. So first things first, I don't even have my screen set up right, so I guess I should have knocked that out earlier. I'm doing this in real time, but don't worry, we're almost there. Switch this to this, and we are there. All right, look, it's as if it's my first live stream. We're gonna go over the current state of the markets first. And I see a lot of people in chat. I'll go ahead and answer y'all's questions here shortly, but we're sitting at $3.25 trillion. We're finally pumping again 2.7% on the day. And you see a lot of your favorite cryptocurrencies that are trending. As a fundamental analyst and a gem hunter, I'm going to go through these trending cryptos with you. This is actually my favorite part of the show usually. First things first, midnight dropped. It did its airdrop that it was highly anticipated many months ago. Many of us have got into this airdrop. It was actually pretty sure one of the top 3 airdrops of all time. So if you had your cryptocurrency in a native Bitcoin, XRP, I think Ethereum was part of it, if I'm not mistaken, but you would have been eligible for this airdrop, and we just got the token. So expect huge volatility with prices like this, 55% on the day. It was down as much as 65% earlier. So I would stay away from buying midnight as of now. I think it's a solid project. I'm not a big believer in scaling solutions. I think we're starting to go away from them into the next era or the next decade of crypto. But I think Midnight is going to be probably one of your better scaling solutions as security systems. Moving on, Pudgy Penguins. I like this play. I talk about it every live stream. I'm just going to move on from that. I don't know what Humidify is, but I'll tell you, it is in its first day, and I would definitely stay away from a project that's not even inside the top 500 within its first day. So a lot of times people get in early and they dump on you. You are exit liquidity. So Bitcoin's pumping today because there's a huge conference going on overseas and we got some of the biggest names in the space that are going to be talking about it. And I got the keynotes for you. So you won't have to go and watch the whole conference. Crux will break it all down for you on this live stream. Next, we got Terra Luna. This one for about the past 5-6 days or so, since Thursday of last week. This project has been pumping, and honestly, I'm scratching my head on it. I am a victim of Terra Luna. So Crux had $33,000 worth of UST in a wallet. I forgot which wallet it was called, but anyways, I ended up selling $33,000 worth of stablecoins for $11,000. So I lost $22,000 overnight because of the Terra Luna collapse that happened back in 2022. So I'm sure I'm not alone on that, but it's a pretty rough one. It's tough to see this token start pumping, but moving on, we have a couple other ecosystems that I really like. Solana, Ethereum's a big winner of the day. It's up as much as 9% earlier. It's down to about 6%, but who knows? The day hasn't closed yet. Next, we got some Pippin. This just looks like a meme token. I'm not even going to look into it. Zcash, again, I'm not bullish on privacy tokens. Hyperliquid, I am bullish on. Linea, I think is okay. I'm not a big scaling solution fan. Not a big fan of MetaMask, but I am a big fan of Swift. And they do have that partnership with Swift. And then guess what? XRP is right there trending with it. XRP is not a big fan of Swift, and they are competing with them. So then we also have Terra Luna. I just talked about their whole ecosystem, but I would stay away, especially from Terra Luna. And Terra Luna Classic, so, or UST, or just any of their projects. I would stay away. Do Kwon, I think, might have gotten released not too long ago. But yeah, stay away. Not financial advice. All right, let's go ahead and read some of these comments. So first of all, there's a poll going on. What happens tomorrow with the FOMC? That's going to be the first article that I'm going to discuss here shortly. But you guys let me know in the comments, or in the poll rather, before I get into it. And we'll see if you are right. Peace Crux in chat says, Carl, Powell may cut, but he'll probably say something hawkish, which could cause a dump. That is true. I mean, Carl's already on it. Justa, let's hear what you got for us today. All right. Patchiar, I think this is this might be my first time seeing you. Well, welcome, you know. So if you're a Caspa, I have a ton of Caspa people following me. I dropped 2 videos in the past 3 weeks. Yesterday I dropped one of them and it's doing very well. And then like 2 weeks ago I dropped one and it's going viral. So I know got a lot of Caspa folks that are entering my chat. Carl, good morning, Crux and team. Hope all is well. What is your personal thoughts on Link in the near term? Okay. So I redid some of the Academy videos, which is one of our tiers for our Whop memberships. And within the Academy video, I talk about tokenomics in particular, and I double took on Chainlink's tokenomics. And get this, 33% of those tokens that will ever be created, we're talking about 1 billion tokens, 333 million of those tokens go to a very select few individuals, and that was from the early day seed funding way back in like 2017 or whatever, whenever the project first launched. So in terms of tokenomics, Chainlink, you get an F. So I don't like to spread FUD, but as an analyst, I look into all things unbiasedly, or I do my best to stay unbiased. And no matter how good the fundamentals are, if your economics are crap, your project will not pump. So honestly, that's all I think about Chainlink, is the tokenomics suppress it from people that are up hundreds of X's. And they have used you as exit liquidity across all these years. But I don't think the days are over. I think we're just in a slump in regards to what Chainlink is. It is actually, it's the most interoperable play in crypto, if we want to be honest. Without oracles, we go back into the Stone Ages. And I think it's a super brilliant use case. And Sergey Nazarov has done a phenomenal job pushing it forward. So I think accumulating some Chainlink at these prices is fine. All right, let's read a couple more. We'll move over into the FOMC news. Mike Jr. says, just hold on tight, new Fed chair coming next year. That's true. And Trump has already hinted at who it's going to be. So the Trump pump will commence. Cat in the Hat, yo, Crux, what up, Cat? One of my most loyal followers there. Appreciate all you guys. Mike says green lights mean a dump is brewing. Dang, so Crux apparently, he's a reverse indicator. You heard it here first from Mike Jr. He's tossing some shade at Crux, but that's what I'm here for. I'm to prove you wrong. All right. And then, yo, Crux, you still buying Caspa since it's so low? I have not bought any Caspa. I sit on like 200,000 Caspa tokens, and I think that's solid. You know, I don't plan on accumulating more. I think that's a good amount. And I'm okay with that. So we know that Caspa follows very similar emissions as Bitcoin. It's just 4 times faster in terms of the halving events. So we will see if Caspa does survive its own emissions, but it's on a race against time. And 2026 is going to be the biggest year for Caspa. I mean, this year we had quote unquote smart contracts with Casplex. We also had Crescendo. So we had a couple big updates this year. Next year, though, I'm telling you. So Igra Labs Q1. We have possible VProgs. Most likely that'll go into 2027. And then we also have maybe Dag Knight. So maybe even exchange listings. There's a lot of bullish news that is coming down the pipe for Caspa. I'm excited about Midnight, says B-Ball Golf. Just waiting for my claim to hit my wallet. Ain't it funny how all of it dumped before you got your... It's ridiculous. I like crypto. I'm sure there was a process where some of the early people or some of the big dogs, they got them tokens early. Before you got yours, it dumped 60%. So that's the crazy part about programmable money and emissions in general. You can actually control who gets the supply first, and almost always it is not fair. So love the Caspa video you posted yesterday. Yeah, appreciate it, Aaron. I am here to be a staunch advocate for Caspa. It's my favorite cryptocurrency out there. I am rocking a Satoshi shirt. That's okay. I love Bitcoin. I think in crypto, your job, for the most part, is to acquire as much sats as possible. And there's very few currencies that I feel like are long-term holds better than Bitcoin, and Caspa would be one of those rare few. So Brandon says, so people are saying the market is going to dump all the way to Mount Crumpet. Well, I mean, I have 3 people that I'm gonna show you in this video or in this live stream that are saying the exact opposite. They're saying the 4-year cycle's over. Crux is still saying it's on. So who's going to be right? I don't know. Time will tell. All right. So go ahead and post some more questions you guys have. Let's go ahead and jump a little bit into the quick information, and then we'll do the wrap-up news of Bitcoin Meta that's going on currently. Okay, so FOMC, this happens tomorrow. The FOMC rate cut announcement is scheduled tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So expect significant market volatility. I believe T-Shroom and Tim will be going live for this, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, we always do. So that is a very good live stream. Make sure y'all go follow that. Follow Tim Warren's channel. We just surpassed 60,000 subscribers over there. So we're absolutely crushing it. And we definitely cover those live streams for the FOMC meetings because it's super important. Of all of the news that happens, and not just crypto, but traditional markets, this is the biggest event. So this happens only once a month typically. So tomorrow, expect a lot of volatility. And honestly, the reason I feel like today is a green day and we're pumping is because it's pre-running the FOMC news. So by the rumor, I can expect to sell the news event tomorrow. I'm not a betting man, as you know. I don't leverage trade. I am starting to learn a little bit though on the other side of it. So if you're wanting to learn how to trade with Crux, make sure to jump in the Discord. There's a beginners trading channel with our members, and it's been pretty dope. They answer very simple questions if it's your first time trading. All right, let's go ahead and move on to other stuff that is market moving as of today. So 2 major crypto meetings this week. So I'm about to break this first piece down a little bit more, but the Democrats and the Republicans meet to discuss the crypto market structure bill. They've already met, and we have a conclusion. I'm about to go over that. But Thursday, we have senators meeting CEOs of Citibank, Bank of America, and Wells Fargo. Maybe these are 3 institutions you might have heard of to discuss crypto regulations. It's happening. It is happening. And if I could have fit those words on the thumbnail, I probably would have put up there, but I had to be very specific and strategic on how I placed it. But I think if I had to sum up today in 2 words, it is happening. And all right, to go ahead and summarize a little bit more on that Democrat and Republicans crypto market structure bill, this is what we got. And honestly, I didn't have enough time to really break it down because it just got posted. But major crypto bill advances. Senator Gillibrand and Lemus say a full draft is coming this week. That's huge. This week, with hearings and vote planned as early as next week. So this is awesome. As a staunch person in crypto, regulation moves the needle. This is what we need. We got the FIT 21. We have the Clarity Act. Well, Clarity Act hadn't passed yet, but we're making progress on it. We have the Genius Act for stablecoins, and we're starting to get even more bills. So this is what I love to see, and it is market moving news. And just because I didn't have enough time to really look into it, I asked ChatGPT, because why not? So this bill is meant to clarify how digital assets are regulated in the United States, defining rules, assigning regulatory authority, and aiming to end long-standing regulatory uncertainty. So it's very generic. It's not really telling you exactly what it is. It builds on prior efforts, such as earlier Responsible Financial Innovation Acts, sometimes referred to as the Loomis-Gillibrand Bill. So for example, previous proposals under the banner attempted to clarify which agency regulates that. So this is all stuff that seems, for the most part, maybe 2024 into 2025 news. We know the CFTC is here. They pushed the SEC out of the way. Crypto is a commodity. It's not a security. Peace out, Gary Gensler, and we're making progress. So what I would like to see more progress on is the Bitcoin Act of 2025, who's also being proposed by Senator Cynthia Loomis. So I think there's probably going to be about a maybe 10-15% chance that that gets passed by the end of this year. But we're looking at a possible 1 million Bitcoin secured across the next 5 or so years. and that will put America by far in the lead. So currently we're sitting at roughly about 450,000 Bitcoin. We own more Bitcoin than every other country in the world combined. So let's just leave it at that. This is a modern day space race, and Crux is here to break it down for you. So also, let's go ahead and break down a little bit more of what is happening overseas currently. So as you can see on the thumbnail, I'll put Micheal Saylor's face out there. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about a deep dive that I've just finished the script on. It is on MicroStrategies. So I'm super happy about this one, because if we are in a bear market, everyone's going to be fudding everybody out. They're going to say, MicroStrategy is going to get liquidated at 70K, sell, and it's just FUD. It is FUD. And I found the exact dollar amount, well, not the exact dollar amount, but a general dollar amount that MicroStrategies will get liquidated at. I can guarantee you are far off. So it's pretty cool. I did a little deep dive on it, and it will drop on Thursday, maybe Friday. We'll see. Most likely Thursday. Anyways, let's go ahead and move a little bit more into what Micheal Saylor is saying here on stage. But I mean, he's been getting approached, and let's hear from him now.
Major inflection point is all of the large banks in the United States have gone from not banking Bitcoin 12 months ago to, in the past 6 months, I have noted and been approached by BNY Mellon, by Wells Fargo, by Bank of America, by Charles Schwab, by JP Morgan, by Citi. They are all starting to issue credit against either Bitcoin or against Bitcoin derivatives like IBIT. And so there's a sea change here. Wells Fargo and Citi have both publicly announced intent to allow the custody of Bitcoin within the banks.
All right. So let me clarify all of this, right? He just said specifically custody. So there's a difference between banks custodying your Bitcoin, or possibly buying and selling. So most of these banks, and I'll tell you here in a little bit, there is a bank that is now doing this. Most of these banks are just custodying it, which means, well, if I'm JP Morgan, I can hold your $100,000 worth of Bitcoin. I can give you a $30,000 loan against your Bitcoin, and I have it as collateral. So it's pretty cool to see this being used as a financial instrument on the banking sector, but just put that in your pocket for now. We're just talking about banks, because here in a little bit, I'm going to blow your socks off when we get into the institutions. All right, let's hear a little bit more from Micheal Saylor as he talks about China. So you see China on the thumbnail. I talked about the banks, but let's go ahead and talk about the governments. Here we go.
The market does ripples through South America. It ripples through Africa. It ripples through Europe. It ripples through the Middle East. It goes to Canada, goes to Australia. It even goes to Hong Kong. Even the Chinese will copy what the U.S. is doing. So it's very, very profound inflection.
All right, just like I said, it is a modern day space race. We have the United States sitting at 450,000 Bitcoin. China, we actually just seized some of theirs from a Chinese individual that had been doing illicit activity. So we actually took, I want to say it was like 80,000 Bitcoin from China and added that to our bags. There was a pig butchering scam earlier this year that added, I want to say about 130,000 Bitcoin. And all of this Bitcoin, pushing 500,000 Bitcoin, $0 was spent on taxpayer funds. So all of this has been taken from illicit activity, and I love to see it. But just like Micheal Saylor said, it's not just going to be America that's in this race. We're starting to see Abu Dhabi. We're starting to see other Asian countries that are getting involved. And that is the beauty of what a global monetary network looks like. We're not just talking about fiat currencies anymore. With fiat currencies, there's an agenda. There's a purpose behind this currency. Sometimes it could be backed by something, but it never survives when it's backed by something. So this will be the first time that we have a currency, it's backed by something, and the only way that it's going to be able to survive is the entire world is backing this thing, because we know governments have an agenda, and eventually they come, they go. So that's what happens with world reserve currencies. Let's go ahead and move on to the next pitch, which would be Metaplanet. So Metaplanet, well, just a little bit of background on this group. They are in Japan, so they're doing a pretty similar approach in terms of what MicroStrategies is doing. but they're trying to acquire 1%, while MicroStrategy already has about 650,000 Bitcoin. So the Michael Saylor, sorry, is not alone in acquiring these Bitcoins. And I got a couple other names other than these two, and we'll talk about them in a little bit, but let's go ahead and give them a shot.
You know, it's one of the largest markets in the world. We would like to be, you know, the player in the Japanese capital market. That's our primary focus at this point. Maybe there's an opportunity for us to expand in Asia. But I do, and maybe this is an unpopular opinion, but I don't think there is a need for that many Bitcoin treasury companies and that many issuers of digital credit. The most important thing is having a substantial balance sheet of Bitcoin. And you now have more than 3% of the global supply. Our goal is to get to 1%. Still, quite the way to go from here. But we've said we want to get to 210,000 by 2027. I think the Japanese...
All right, that's very ambitious, just getting to 1%. Remember, I mean, 1% is 1/100th of anything. So if Michael Saylor has already acquired 5%, then now we only are able to get what? 96 or 94% left of that Bitcoin holding. So a lot of other companies are coming out of the woodworks. I'm about to talk a little bit about Jack Mallers and his company that went public today. And they have a lot more than what Metaplanet is shooting for. So what we've already talked about is we talked about these individual treasury companies like a MicroStrategies and their way to acquire. We've talked about governments. We've talked about the banks, and what more can you really ask for? We're talking about all the institutions at all levels of command, and I'd love to see it. So let's do a couple more, and then we'll get into that Q&A section. This is what I was hinting at earlier. So we have PNC. This is the first bank that is not only custodying. Okay, so earlier we talked about like JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, etc., Citibank. They're all custodying clients' Bitcoins, allowing loans against them. But this is the first bank, or first major U.S. bank to support this type of offering, which is selling and buying of Bitcoin. So PNC, welcome to the club. I love to see it. You are a major bank. You are innovating, and you are ahead of the pack. So we know crypto, it's here to stay. Most of these major banks, they don't want crypto, but they, to the very last day, they fought against it. And I'm going to show you a little bit about Jamie Dimon at the end of the stream, who was a very big, he was basically up there with like a Peter Schiff or he was a mega bear on crypto in particular. And it's because he needed to accumulate. So we know Larry Fink at one point was the same way, but Larry Fink with hedge funds, with regulation, he was able to acquire much faster than the banks. And also with hedge funds, crypto wasn't exactly a competitor. For banks, crypto is a competitor, so it's going to take them longer to adopt it. But we are at the final stages. We have the biggest hedge funds in the world. We have the biggest banks in the world. And at this point, it's just a matter of time. Like how quick can you accumulate? And then also, how can you hodl? Can you hodl while it's volatile? So congrats, PNC. And yeah, here's the Jamie Dimon. We'll go ahead and get into his real quick. So again, Jamie Dimon is the CEO of JP Morgan. So
blockchain is real. It's been around for quite a while, but now it's becoming more effective, more efficient, because people are finding ways to do it faster and cheaper, permissioned or not permissioned. Smart contracts, I think, will probably be real. Blockchain is real. It's been around for
all right, so first of all, he sounds like a noob. He just said smart contracts, I think, will be real. So he doesn't even know what crypto is, first of all. 4 years ago, last bull market, he was at the WEF, the World Economic Forum conference. It's like an annual event. And he was saying, Bitcoin, if I could turn off Bitcoin and had an on button or an off button, I would turn it off, but you can't. So he was pissed off. He hated it. And now he has switched his mode. And if the biggest skeptics in the world are starting to switch their mood from a Larry Fink or a JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon, then you know you're early. So you beat the institutions, and that is rare. That rarely ever happens in any investing, is when you beat the major institutions. And something that just went live, shout out Tim Warren for breaking this down. we got Bitwise, which is your top 10 crypto index ETFs. So when you hear about things like the S&P 500, this is just parameters that are fixed and allowing certain specific countries to get in if you fulfill those requirements. So within Bitwise's 10 crypto index ETFs, I'm not exactly sure what the parameters are on this, but what I love about ETFs in general that are mixed is typically it'll be like Bitcoin is 40%, Ethereum's going to be like 20%, and then the other like 40% is going to be split between like DOT, Litecoin, Sui, etc. So one of these ETFs is going to win out, and I'm pretty sure you're going to one day have like an S&P 500 type deal, most likely be closer to like maybe a Bitwise crypto top 10 or like, Coinbase top 20 type ETF. But it's really cool to be able to see these are the type of things that will go in your retirement accounts, and you won't have to be actively trying to get in and out of crypto. So that's the biggest thing in cryptocurrency. And if this is your first time here in my cast, I want you to pay attention, because people get caught up in the nuances. They let their emotions eat themselves up, and then they sell at the bottom. So for example, we just went down to 80K. There's going to be a lot of people in their first time in their bull market where they bought at 126, came down to 80K, they sold. And guess what? We're going to probably pump back up to 103K. At 103K, we go up against a lot of resistance, and then people are going to start buying back in. So you sold at 80, bought back in at 103, and if we are in bear winter, we're probably going to go all the way down to a $50 or even a $40,000 price tag. So that's something to consider, no matter how bullish I sound today, because I sound very bullish. You see all the green lights, you see the Satoshi shirt. It doesn't, there is this 4-year cycle thing I'll talk about at the end of this live stream that is undefeated. So, all right. I think this is a good segment to go ahead and start dropping some alpha for you guys. Got about 32 of you concurrently in here. All right. So I like that. I like that better, says Brandon. Knight is a long-term hold for me. Don't really care about its dollar value. Just going to use its dust to play on the network. Yeah, a Knight it's not specifically a crypto or a Cardano token. There's definitely potential there. I like Charles Hoskinson as an innovator. I think Charles is super outdated, I'll tell you that. And I'm not trying to spread FUD on Cardano. I'm really not. I think he's a little outdated in some of the way he's really think about it. The origin stories of Ethereum is beautiful. Him, Vitalik, etc. were at MIT. They create this product. They argue for profit, non-profit. Cardano or Charles Hoskinson goes off, he forms IOHK, and they produce Cardano. So a whole different mind shift, but they took like the peer review process of something that is in the fastest asset class of all time, cryptocurrencies, and you can't be slow and methodical. And I think Cardano beat themselves up with that. They tried to recreate Aave, they tried to recreate Chainlink, and they didn't want to be EVM compatible. So if you try to recreate the wheel for everything, you're gonna struggle, especially if you're wanting to compete with the number one brand, which is Ethereum in terms of smart contract programmability. All right, but yeah, so what I see with Midnight is if I could recreate a new chain to help Cardano thrive, because I do think that Knight is not specifically designed for Cardano, but the biggest winner from the Midnight blockchain is Cardano. And so I think that's his way to say, like, this hasn't failed yet. We have another option for being able to not only scale this, but secure it. And we'll see if it wins. But you guys know how bullish I am on Caspa, and you don't have to sacrifice your decentralization, your security, or your scalability to make things work. We have the technologies that exist, and you don't need side chains like a Midnight. Yes, Tim will be live tomorrow. Let's go. I see you, Aaron. I'll be in that live chat as well, probably trolling you guys. So make sure you're there so Crux control you. Hi, everyone, says Angel. What up, Angel? I'll buy this shirt. Crux. 2 words. It is happening. All right. Well, actually, that is... I see how you typed it out. That's 3 words. I get it, B-Ball. You're trying to be funny. Angel. Goldman Sachs is having a conference this week too, Crux. Coinbase will be there to discuss the company's strategy, evolving crypto landscape. That's big. I mean, Goldman Sachs, that's a huge bank. It's having conference this week. Or hedge fund. That's a good, oof. Is Goldman Sachs a bank or a hedge fund? I'm pretty sure it's a bank. I don't know. Either way, big institution there. That's probably something I should know. All right, Golden Dumpling says, good morning. Good morning. I don't know what part of the world you're at, but I mean, here in America, it is a little bit past lunchtime. Carl says he wanted to turn off the Bitcoin machine. Right. Jamie Dimon, your biggest competitor was Bitcoin. I mean, you had the whole world seized under your control. You had the biggest bank in the world. We're talking about JP Morgan Chase, and he didn't want to let go of the reins, but he's not going to let go because he's finally entering the Bitcoin realm. He's allowing his clients to custody and giving them loans against their tokens. Eventually, trust me, these banks are going to be buying Bitcoin. It's just a matter of time. Is it this cycle? Is it next cycle? But that's what it takes to break the 4-year cycle. All right, Justice says, was interesting that the founder of Flux said he was debanked by PNC, but Coinbase is working with them now. Okay. So just makes you wonder what is going on here. Yeah, in terms of banking, I think it's very personal. Like, I've heard a lot of people get locked out of their JP Morgan accounts for linking it to Coinbase. So JP Morgan, Chase rather, they've had issues with a lot of different centralized exchanges, and they'll lock you out. So Wells Fargo, for example, from what I've heard, is they don't give anybody any issues. So a lot of these centralized institutions are giving people issues. PNC, I wouldn't be surprised if from one person it gives them issues, the other person it doesn't. Yeah. But honestly, we don't really have an option in terms of, we're starting to get options in terms of being able to debank, but I still think the right answer in 2025 is to stay with the banks. Sounds probably like, what is this guy talking about? He's wearing a Satoshi shirt and he's saying to stay with the banks. Understand this. 2009, when Satoshi created Bitcoin, in that Genesis block, he made it specifically clear we need to debank ourselves. Over time, this technology gets adopted. We're talking trillions of dollars go into it. Banks start playing ball. It's a whole different ball game at this point. So if Satoshi could talk nowadays, I don't exactly think it's going to be the same way that he needed to spark a cypherpunk movement. So that's something very important to note is, why are we here? And also continue to change your thought process. And it's okay to continue to have a bank account, or even to allow your banks to hold your crypto. Last decade, I would have told you that's a horrible idea to allow your banks to hold your Bitcoin. But now this regulation, there's more control. And I've heard too many people get their hardware wallet hacked, and they got $0 back. But at least there's SIPC insurance whenever you buy some IBIT or these other assets. All right. What could happen if we break 103K, says Daniel? That's a good question. All right, so I'm looking to kind of like push me back in the other direction. If we can get back to 103K by the end of this year, I'll be much more confident. And let's check out where we're at now. All right. Where is Bitcoin currently? Sitting at about 93K. So we're still quite a bit of ways. Today had a phenomenal day. Maybe tomorrow we have an even better day with the FOMC meeting. But we're still far away from what would change Crux's mind to put us back 50-50. But currently I am 60-40. And I've been like this since the middle of October, by the way. Crux is 60% certain that we are in a bear market and 40% certain that we are in a bull market. So 103K by the end of this year, I'll go back to 50-50. Daniel, hope that answers your question. And let's answer one more and we'll move on to the next segment of news. Goldman Sachs is like a global investment company, I think. Tom Lee talked about them a lot. Hey, good for you, Angel, for bringing Tom Lee up, because I will be bringing him up shortly as well. So let's go ahead and jump back into some more news, and then we'll get into some more Q&A right after that. So, okay. ICP versus near. I got to give a quick plug. I haven't written the script for this. Honestly, I won't drop this video until next week, but I just want to let you guys know I do these verse videos and you guys love them. So I'm going to do some more. And, Render versus Tau was one of the bangers, hit over 5,000 views. I did Bitcoin versus Caspa. I've done all of them. Well, I've done a ton. So definitely make sure you subscribe. This is the type of content I bring to you guys. I don't just do live streams. I know a lot about crypto. And I think live streams like this are very good because on YouTube in 2025, 90% of the streamers want to throw open a chart and just read it in front of you. As a fundamental analyst, I have to do all my research on the back end. So when I jump in front of a camera, I could tell you guys with, confidence what's going to happen with these type of projects. So definitely stay tuned for this type of stuff. And also add me to your content creator bag. Have about 7 or 8 of us every single bull market that you listen to for specific things. And that's it. Don't get too crazy, but stay safe in these markets. All right, let's move on to the next story of the day. So CZ, and again, this is us going back into the 4-year cycle and does it exist? I'm about to bring up 3 people that are bearish towards the 4-year cycle. CZ is number 1. Here we go.
Don't quote me on this, but I think that force will be quite strong. So that force may be strong enough to offset the 4-year cycle. Who knows? Yeah.
So you're saying next year bull market?
We may be seeing a super cycle.
Wow.
So we'll see. Yeah. I'm not sure. Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
All right. So you guys let me know. What are your thoughts on the 4-year cycle? This is your time to get in the comments and get active because after I go through all 3 of these, I'm going to read some of these. I want to know what you guys think about the 4-year cycle. I just told you I'm 60-40, but Crux doesn't know you, and I need to know you better. So while you're in those comments, make sure you smash the like and also respond to each other. Make sure, just be good members of the community. Why not? All right, let's go to number 2. We have Kathy Wood, who is the CEO of ARK Invest. And she made her name last bull market through investments, especially in Tesla. So she's made some very good calls. She's made some very bad calls. I remember at one point she was selling a ton of Coinbase and buying Roku. So I don't know. Clearly she's much smarter than I am, or I'd be in her position, but there's definitely some questionable stuff. But either way, she's very smart. Hear what she has to say about the 4-year cycle.
Is behaving more like a risk-on asset. It has played the risk-off role at different times during the European sovereign debt crisis, during our regional bank crisis. But right now, it's risk-on. It is climbing another wall of worry, and that is the 4-year cycle. We think the 4-year cycle is going to be disrupted, and what I mean by that is Bitcoin regularly drops 75 to 90% in its early days. The volatility is going down. All
right, that's enough. All right. So I kind of cringed a little bit when she said it's a risk-on environment. Why? Because gold and silver are both at all-time highs. So I don't know what she's smoking on, but it's something good. Now, I would not consider this a risk-on environment. And now, I wouldn't really consider this a risk-off environment per se either, because we do have the dropping of the interest rate. So there's definitely some stuff you could throw in either direction. But since that is Kathy Wood as our second person, you had CZ as the first. Our third person, Angel got it right. It is Tom Lee. So let's see what Tom Lee has to say about the 4-year cycles. Let's get it.
Number 2, I think crypto prices have bottomed. And I think that in the next 8 weeks, we're going to shatter the Bitcoin 4-year cycle. I don't think it's going to be a 4-year cycle this time.
All right. And if you don't know who Tom Lee is, he owns Bitminer. Actually, he's a CEO, sorry. He's a CEO of Bitminer, which is, think of it as like the Ethereum version of what Microstrategies is. But they have a whole different model. So Microstrategies, they basically, and you'll know more about this whenever I drop my video that goes out Thursday, possibly Friday, probably Thursday of this week. They have stuff called debt. They have the Bitcoin. They use stuff as collateral. They buy stuff against their Bitcoin. I mean, it's basically Bitcoin focused. How can we acquire as much Bitcoin as possible? And the difference between Bitcoin and Ethereum is Bitcoin is a proof of work network, which means you can't stake it. The good thing about staking, not only does it provide security for a network, because it means somebody has to lock up their tokens, therefore they can't use it as exit liquidity, but also it helps run validator nodes, and it gives you a percentage because you're helping process all the transactions. So you collect the fees, and then you get what we would call a dividend, quote unquote, within a stock. So imagine holding what, $4 or $5 billion worth of Ethereum, and you're collecting 3% APY on that big of a cash stack. You're getting millions of dollars every single month. So their strategy is completely different. And remember, the upfront cost of this, it's not like you have to pay like what, 400, 500 members and employ them. You're just simply running nodes. You could do this with one person if you have the capacity, or if you have like the electricity and the hardware for it. So that's a very interesting part of a company like Bitmine, and I like to see what they're doing there. And also I love Ethereum. So all right, let's go ahead and go through a couple more. All right, actually, let's go ahead and give a quick shout out to our VIP trading group. So hit all 4 TPs, which are take profits, on Bitcoin short, first winning trade ever. Wish I knew how to take the cool picture to show you the percentage. Much love. So he didn't understand how to take the picture. Crux took it for him. And shout out to the VIP trading group. We have about 500 plus, I think like 550 traders currently in there. And here's another one. So we have this token. It's crazy. We have this token. It's called Fartcoin. And we have some crazy leverage traders in here throwing 100% or 100x shorts, collecting hundreds of dollars. So it's pretty unique to see in bearish conditions, you can still make money as long as you know how to trade. And Rufio, he's one of our pro traders over there. We have 5. We have Tim, Silent, Rufio, Steve, and someone's gonna get mad. Anyways, we have a good amount of pro traders. Rufio, you've been on fire with Fartcoin. I very much appreciate every second you give for us subscribers. You've changed my life trading, and hats off to you, sir. So this is the type of stuff we love to see in our community. Let me go ahead and zoom out a little bit, and also talk a little bit about our memberships, and then we'll move on to some more news and answer some questions. But we have 3 different tiers. You have the Essentials, which is mainly your VIP trading group I just talked about. This is going to be more for your intermediate level. Next, we have the Academy. The Academy is actually more your rookie level, but this comes with tens of videos on how to trade, how to build a perfect portfolio, and also how to do macro news or macro analysis on news. And then lastly, we have the Gem Hunters. I run the Gem Hunters. Shout out Daniel. I see a couple of y'all in these comments, and we find during bullish periods, we look for those low cap gems before they send. So pretty unique, and it's also really fun. While you're in crypto, you don't have to just buy Bitcoin and do it. For most people, that might be a solid plan, but if you know what you're doing, there's ways to beat those ROIs, but you have to increase your risk, and that's what I specialize in. So, all right, let's go ahead and check out some more questions. We'll jump into our last segment, and we'll wrap it up. I see Angel's super happy about that NIR versus ICP video, and I am too. I have PNC locked to uphold, or linked, I guess. Okay, so yeah, you said you fixed it, linked. Okay. Caspa is near future. Yeah. So Caspa next bull market is going to be on steroids. We are talking about 10 blocks, which is crescendo, all the way up to 32 minimum through Dag Night and Rust Rewrite, and then possibly get all the way to up to 100 blocks per second. Now, this does mean there's going to be some issues with the latency, or the, in terms of how, let me fix this. There's going to be issues with how much data can be on each block. So what happens is, people think okay, I go from 1 block to 10 blocks. That just means I multiply however many transactions the first block was able to do, and then that's how I get my theoretical throughput. But that's not how it works. So within scalability, you have stuff like latency and other issues where it reduces the amount of data that you can have in these blocks. So that's something to consider. Is don't think just because we go from 10 blocks per second to 100 is a 10x on the throughput. So it's not as simple as that seems, but either way, Dag Night is going to be a game changer for crypto. And it is the first ever in terms of what Ghost Dag has evolved into Night Dag. And then we also have VPROGs, which is revolutionizing what smart contracts can do. However, it's off chain. So it's very unique what Casp is doing. And this is the first of many, which is why I'm super bullish on them. But yeah, I do agree with you. It is the near future. Thanks for the thoughts on it. It was pretty interesting. I have stuff on and off chain, not all eggs in one basket and all. Yeah, good stuff, Jesta. Always have your stuff diversified. Have some on a hardware wallet. Have some of your crypto on Coinbase. Just make sure it is two-factor authenticated if it's on an exchange. There's other ways you can secure your crypto, like whitelisting, etc. But always diversify your holdings. Don't throw it all in one hardware wallet where someone could break into your house, take your seed phrase, and take your net worth. That is irresponsible. So diversify into multiple hardwares and just different locations in general. And Angel, you're not going to be the only one that's super excited for that NIR versus ICP video, because I've done some research on canisters. I've done some research on caffeine, but I need a new update on ICP. There's so many people that are leaving ICP's community currently and coming to Caspa. And I don't want to feel like I'm leeching a community. I want to give them a fair shot. If ICP does well, whenever I do this deep dive, I will honestly let people know my thoughts. And you guys know, I'm always going to be as honest as possible. I'm sitting here talking about Caspa with the Satoshi shirt on. So I be as unbiased as possible, and I give a fair shot to every project I look into. Mike says, I think based on Trump's reputation, that cycle might be broken. Interesting. Okay, so we're starting to get our 4-year cycle input. So Mike Jr., I will tell you, Trump is definitely going to be a top 5 person in the world in terms of who can move markets, because his tariffs, man, how many of the downwards price action over the past 2 years came from a tariff tweet? You know, that the infamous mid-October dump came from the stems of a Donald Trump tweet. So yes, if he's able to spin this thing around, whether it's getting rid of capital gains taxes or getting rid of income tax, or I don't know, there's a lot he can do in terms of giving tariff money back to American citizens. This could all pump markets, and you could very much be right. If you pump markets going into 2026, you can break the 4-year cycle, and there's nobody that's going to be more influential than Trump. So with all the banks buying secretly right now, I think it could be broken, says Daniel. True. Over-the-counter deals don't affect the markets the same, so that's very interesting to note. Is MicroStrategies will say they bought 10,000 Bitcoin today, but it was over-the-counter from a Bitfinex or a Binance or somebody else, which is not going to move the needle. So that's it. The way Bitcoin moves is a little weird, but I don't know. I trust its overall price per se. Cat in the Hat says, I think the 4-year cycle may still be intact, but there's been so much suppression of crypto in the past year of the cycle that it may be over. That's a very good thing to note as well. And I talk about that in my 4-year cycle video. Is the onset of alt seasons has been depressing. We haven't had any notable alt seasons, and it sucks. And really, just as crypto holders, like, we don't want to, why am I holding altcoins if Bitcoin did an 8x from 15.5 to 126? It made no sense. Like, a Chainlink didn't do an 8x, and it was more risky. So we're beating each other up because of alt seasons or the lack of them. And you could very much be right. Altcoins are in debt right now, and they need to figure it out. And it might just mean, the next wave comes from the altcoins. All right, let's read a couple more of these, and we'll move on to our last segment of news. Okay, you expanded on that. But I don't feel like I know enough about the crypto yet to say for sure. Therefore, I'll keep listening to y'all and gauging y'all's opinion like you. I've sold nothing yet. Okay. Yeah, we're not financial advisors. We're just here to entertain and speak through experience. So I think now that the government is involved, it's going to change the 4-year cycle. So Angel thinks that governments. Now, in my video, I just showed that 18% of all Bitcoin is owned by institutions like a MicroStrategies or Tesla, also governments and treasuries. So that's something to consider. 18% is not a lot in the grand scheme of things. 65% is still ran by retail, which is why I think the Bitcoin OGs are the ones who control the price. He who controls the supply controls the price. Rufio just finished. Silent. Yeah, I said silent, Juby. Oh, maybe I didn't because multiple people, yeah, all of y'all are saying silent, so maybe that's the one I missed. Derek says, hi, Crux. Do you think Caspa will be listing on a major exchange next year? So we just got our HTX listing. Shout out. Hasn't gone live yet, but it's confirmed. KEF has confirmed it, and it'll be live this month on HTX. In terms of any other major exchange listings, there hasn't been anything in the rumblings yet. I think Binance owns that #1 wallet, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen sooner than later. It's just too much suppression. It's clear that CZ has been ignoring, because CZ's super active on Twitter, and I follow everything the guy does. He responds to everything. He will literally go and comment on a post that you post on. Like he's super active within the community. He actually liked one of my posts I dropped the other day. I talked about the differences between Eastern and Western cultures and how people hold their crypto. So for example, like Binance and Tron, how much it drops less than all other Western cryptos in a bear market. So they dropped 65% last bear winter going into 2022. BNB and Tron. Bitcoin fell over 70%. Cardano and Western cryptocurrencies fell 90%. So, and that's all culturally different. That's why it stems from something much bigger than crypto. So, I mean, if CZ liked it, then he probably understands that Crux knows what he's talking about. Caspa has good tech, terrible marketing, no centralized exchange listings, means no pump. So we got Eric Attar in here giving us some hell. This is actually a very good claim, though. Now, let me go ahead and dispute this. The reason that we don't have the best marketing or all the sex listings yet is because no foundation. So we were 100% fair launched. Nobody got too much control of the supply or the hash rate. And it's very difficult to run a cryptocurrency without having initial seed funding. So for example, if I look at like the background of a Solana or a Sui, they're going to have hundreds of millions of dollars before the launch. So what happens is the token drops on day one. It already has a market cap of like $4 billion. And guess what? These people are already up 30x from their initial seed funding, and they dump on you throughout the years. And it leads to negative sell pressure. With Caspa, the two things you can consider. Nobody is going to get dumped on from early people that were in, that bought for much lower. And then two, none of us are going to be paid for what we're talking about. So this is coming straight from the heart. I believe in Caspa, not getting paid to say any of this stuff. And that's huge. This means it is untampered with. It's fair. And why not, have a little bit of exposure to it. So Mike says, when the tariffs start to pay off the debt, watch out. Yeah, I mean, I would love to see that debt go down. I don't think the debt's going to go down, Mike. I'm going to be honest with you. We'll see, though. If the tariffs start moving towards taxpayer pockets or the debt, we could see bullish, a bullish feel for the economy. So Cat in the Hat says, hodling over here, so I'm hodling too. Wrong again, what up? Hey, wrong again. I talked about you a little bit ago. Shout out all the pro traders. Look, you guys are killing it. I even pitched the memberships here, but we have a lot of people in our community that are loving you. Wrong again, Steve, Rufio, all of you guys. Crux is here to get your back. So while I got the screen up, I'm gonna go ahead and go through the rest of this news. We'll do one last segment of Q&A, and we'll wrap it up. So silver, it reaches new all-time high, and this is why I disagree with what Kathy Wood said. She said we're in a risk-on environment. If we're in a risk-on environment, why are silver and gold at all-time highs? Crux does not know. I mean, Crux isn't an economist or anything, but I don't know. I'm just scratching my head on this one. Congrats if you're holding a little bit of silver. And guess what? Jack Mallers, his company 21 Capital goes live on the New York Stock Exchange today. So now the third largest public Bitcoin company with 43,500 Bitcoin, now worth $4 billion. Congratulations. First of all, look, I'm rocking the Satoshi shirt. I am not a big Jack Mallers fan because he fuds other projects too much, but I have to give my hat off to you. You did it. Like, you are in your 20s, you're crushing it in terms of innovating. So pretty sure he's the creator of Strike, if I'm not mistaken. So he's a developer, he's an entrepreneur, and this is what it takes to move the needle, is innovation and entrepreneurship. So this is the next era where institutions are getting involved. I still don't think we're in the institutional cycle yet. This is the regulatory cycle. 2026, 2027, 2028 is going to be the institutional cycle, even though some of the big dogs I just talked about, JP Morgan, Citibank, on the banking side, on the hedge fund side, BlackRock, Fidelity, State Street, JP Morgan, all these big names. And the Treasury side, we got Tesla. So there's some big companies here. But remember, Tesla is the only company in the top 250 in the world that has Bitcoin on their balance sheet. We need Apple, we need Google, we need Amazon, we need everything. So that's why Crux is wearing his Satoshi shirt, because I am being a Bitcoin maxi today, even though I did pitch Casp for like 5 minutes this entire stream. I love to see what we're doing here with Bitcoin as well. All right, last story of the day. We have Billy Goat Tales, which is going to be happening later this evening, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All of the content creators like myself, maybe, who knows, like a crypto lifer or maybe even a George. I mean, there's a lot of people that are in this hashtag giversgain community. And what we do is we come together once a week on Tuesday evenings, and we talk primarily about crypto, but we also talk about other stuff as well, like what's happening in life. An important part to remember in this market, it doesn't matter how much you know about crypto. If you don't have your emotions in check, you do not need to start learning how to trade or invest. You need to get your emotions in check first. This is huge. And that's where we help you guys there. Again, we're not therapists. We're not financial advisors. We're just people like you and me. But we have experience. And the cool part about Billy Goat Tales is one of my buddies, Billy, he is running it, and he's just done a phenomenal job bringing all different walks of life into this community. And most importantly, understanding you are not alone. So if you see your portfolio in the red, it sucks, but you're not alone, and we're here to help you get through it. So 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'll see you tonight on Twitter. And thank you guys, Billy Goat Tales, for supporting my channel and spreading the word. So I did drop a pretty dope Caspa video yesterday. It's doing very well. Pretty sure it's past 2,000 views at this point. And the one I dropped the other day is probably getting close to 5,000 views. So for a channel my size, that is insane. These numbers are happening, and it's because of you guys. So let's do one last segment of Q&A, and we'll wrap it up and get up out of here. Wrong again. Who wants to hold the yen or the won? I mean, if the US dollar dies, with like 90% confidence, I'm like, all right, Bitcoin's the next runner up. With like 10% confidence, I'm like, okay, the digital won has a chance. So if the US dollar's out the way, it's probably a digital won. But that's as close as a CBDC is. And also, they have WeChat. Their whole environment's basically linked into this app. And then you have a programmable currency, CBDC haven in the making. And that's, I do not want that. All right, let's read a couple more of these. Halandros, says Derek. There you go, Derek. That was the name I was missing. Yeah, he's the newest one. I actually made him a channel like 2 weeks ago in our server. So we have Silent, Rufio, Steve, Halandros, and Tim, the 5 pro traders, and they're crushing it in there. And guess what? If this is a bear market and Crux confirms it's a bear market, what was it that I was gonna... I'm trying to think. So there's something that's going to make me 70% certain that we're in a bear market. And it might be once we get to January 1st and we do not surpass 100K, Crux is 70% certain we're in a bear market. At that point, I'm going to start whipping out TradingView. I'm going to start talking to the big dogs, and I'm going to learn how to trade, because I need to be able to make money in a bear market. But also, I mean, the viewership for the content's going to be down. I need to be able to figure out how to become a even better content creator going into next cycle. So I've already mastered the fundamentals. I feel like you guys follow me because of my deep dives and my crypto guidance, but who knows? I might actually be a good trader. You don't know unless you try. So nobody wants to hold the rubble or the dram, says Wrong again. Derek says that is the newest pro trader. He trades meme coin. Really? He trades memes. I know Rufio has been crushing it with fart coin. So, like, you know, if you know, you know. Joe says, still have to worry about another government shutdown again too. So whenever something happens for the first time, typically we respond to it. If the government shut down again, and it took us like 35 days, I think we would just price it in real quick, and maybe there's a pretty harsh correction at the beginning. But just like everything else, the more times it happens, it dilutes its purpose, and then the news doesn't affect as much. Wrong Again says, don't trust a maxi in a hoodie. That's funny. I have a cool hoodie. I'll probably wear it tomorrow. Unfortunately, I won't be live tomorrow, but it has Jerome Powell on it. And as soon as he says good morning, and it has the chart going down. So it's in our merch shop. Here, give me one sec. I'll grab it for you. All right, here we are. So shout out Tim, Shroom. I know y'all see it. And also look, all of our swag has Investing Bros hands on it. It's hard for me to get in frame, but pretty dope. So definitely check out our merch shop. It's down there, link in the description below. I don't have any affiliate. This is just me as a good brother in Christ, helping out the community, because all of us, I just talked about Steve, Rufio, everybody, you guys are part of the team. This is way bigger than just me, T-Shroom Tim. So we are finding ways to, build this thing. We are on the next leg. We're in like chapter 3 of like 20. We are going and we are not stopping. It's like 3 people in their prime and nothing's going to get in the way of us. So our focus is high. It is very high. So don't forget to look into Goldman Sachs conference, the 9th Coinbase. They are heavily influenced or involved in crypto and digital assets. May be good there, says Angel. CBDC is terrible. Right. Yeah. Is a CBDC inevitable is the question. I think eventually we get there to where there is a CBDC. I would like to see Bitcoin reign for a while though. Now I'd get very long-winded on why I believe a CBDC will eventually be here. And I'll be honest, it requires the Bible. Because in the Bible it talks about, in the end times, people will not be able to barter amongst each other. And as much as I know about cryptocurrencies, we have a decentralized ledger known as Bitcoin with over 30,000 nodes. That's all from Singapore to United States to China, etc. That's allowing us to freely transact amongst each other. And I don't know how both can coexist. And I also know that Bitcoin every 4 years requires at least a 2x in terms of price action in order to continue to survive. So what happens when it's like $5 million? Is it going to be able to get to $10 million in a matter of 4 years? And then once that 10 million, is it going to be able to get to 40 million in 10 years? Or let's say 40, from 10 to 20, would it be able to do that in, 4 years? So there is a possibility it happens because the biggest variable is the price of energy. So if we're able to solve the issue of energy, where Elon Musk is trying to use the sun, which is 99.9% of our solar system, to turn it into a battery, we're able to solve all of these issues. So the next decade better happen. It better happen in terms of energy, because these diminishing returns, these diminishing losses will not get us through 2033. So we just went 8x from 15K to 126K. That was an 8x. Diminishing returns says 2029, we'll do probably like a 4x. And if we go down as low as 70% drawdown this cycle, that's going to put us at about 200 to 250K back into 2029. But guess what? We have a halving event in 2028. So that means the average price of a Bitcoin will cost $120,000 to mine, because it currently costs about 60 to maybe 80,000 to mine on average in the world. So this mining event happens. It's programmed to happen. Honestly, you can change the program through a general consensus, but that's the last thing we're going to want to do with Bitcoin. So anyways, I'm long-winded there. Nice sweat search, says Angel. Yeah, check out our merch shop. Shameless plug. Pepe, never seen a bull market. Will it be hit or miss? I think you mean a bear market. To be fair, I think Pepe would survive a bear winter. I think 99.9% of meme coins will go to the wayward or the wayside. I think like a Dogecoin, Sheeb, so Dogecoin, Sheeb, Bonk, Whiff. Honestly, anyone that has ever been in the top 100, minus maybe like a Popcat, a Cat in the Dog's World, or a Turbo, those all have been in the top 100 temporarily. I think all of the everything else will survive. Maybe those three survive. I don't know. But I think like the bonks and the whiffs, those will all survive as well. Crux is the next pro trader, says Derek. Tim, Tim, where you? Hey, if they pay Crux, we gonna figure it out. Crux will be 30x long, 40x long, trying to figure this out. Send it. All right, Cat in the Hat. Yeah, that is funny, huh? I meant bull market, right. Well, you said bull market. We didn't have a proper one yet. Interesting. You don't consider Pepe, and the day Pepe launched, me, T-Shroom, and Tim, we covered it on a live stream. We're talking about 2023, if I'm not mistaken. And that's why I tell people bear markets make millionaires. You don't become a millionaire in a bull market. Like after Bitcoin went from 15.5 to 126 and you buy down here at 80K, you're not going to be a millionaire based off that. You will, however, if you're able to get down at 40K. So if we do that, the diminishing loss down to 40K, where I think we're going to go, that's how I got 90% of my holdings of this cycle with sub 25K Bitcoin. And the only way you can do so is stop buying every dip you see. So that's the issue with traders in particular, is every time you see like, because you're so like wrapped in like the new, what's the price action for today? I need to refresh a chart, all this other stuff. I told myself the best time to sell this cycle would be between October and November of 2025, all the way back in 2021. And I have the receipts. I made this video where I turned 130K into 1.3 million in 6 weeks. And I shared all the screenshots with you guys. Ton of it was in 2020, where I told everybody the best time to sell is in November 2021. And it's on there, it's in video. There's all these transactions of me sending like hundreds of ETH in single transactions. And, I'm a product of all this experience of crypto. And that's why I'm bringing it to you guys, is because I feel like I have a duty at this point. So, you guys, you're in good hands. Crux of Crypto he's definitely experienced. I lost 38 Ethereum with Celsius. I talked about UST collapse earlier. Crux lost 22K overnight. I had some money in Voyager, so I was able to get that out in time, thankfully. But yeah, I've been part of BitBoy crypto scams. So hey, if you know, 2021 was wild. So, all right, air guitar. Yeah, I also bought it really cheap. Yeah, there you go. So I like Pepe. I also like Andy. I like Brett. And I like Landwolf. So all ERC20 tokens. I don't like the one on Blast and all the other ecosystems. So, all right. Without further ado, we just went 70 minutes. And I can continue to go, but I think you guys got enough of this. Appreciate you guys being here. Thursday, I'll catch you guys at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be on the lookout for my ICP versus NEAR video. That drops next week. And then my next video, Microstrategy's deep dive, which I give you what the price is Microstrategy's has to get liquidated. So this is going to be the biggest FUD if we go into a bear market. When's Michael Saylor going to get liquidated? Last cycle, it was $4,000. If you know, you know. So Crux has the answer, but you have to wait until Thursday to find out. So I'll catch you guys on the flip side. And, I think low fee is a solid SUI project. Don't hold over 1%.